Salutation, fellow golfers. Right, today we're going to talk about what the arms do in the golf swing and what the body does in the golf swing. They have mutually opposite jobs, but they have to work together. They can't work together immediately. You always need the club and the hands and arms to do a little bit more early. But in basic terms, your hands and arms need to go upwards. So if you imagine thumbs up, you can see I'm doing it straight in front of me here. If they went vertically, that is their job. Their job is basically to go upward, keeping width, and therefore putting angle in here. So if I were to stand there and just go upward, that would be their job. Now, my body's job is to go rotationally. So my body's job is to turn around my spine and create some coil, move into my right side and create a nice bit of stretch in the backswing there. Now, if we can blend those two items together, we should start to have a decent looking backswing. Now, in essence, if I make my thumbs go up and I turn my body, can you see how we're into quite a nice position here? Club's looking down at the ball. Looks like I'm going to hit an okay shot here. Now, realistic, there are two faults we can have. We can either get our body, and I see this a lot, the body overworking too quickly, and suddenly when we then try and get our thumbs up, can you see how we get into that kind of dreaded chicken wing? We start to get the body and the weight too far behind us here on our heels, and then I've got to come back again. That gives us a little bit, we've talked about it, over the top where it can move from the outside. So if the body's a little too dominant and then the arms work, we can see we get what we call across the line, hands too deep behind us. Don't see too much of that on the US Tour or even the European DP World Tour. Now, the opposite is I could get my hands and arms to be too active. So if I stood here and I now make them go too early and then I turn my body late, can you see how that my left arm's kind of up? I can't see the ball and we're too steep here. It's a little bit, I show you Dustin gets a little bit out here and a little steeper and he's done all right out of it. But as a predominance, we don't see too many behind us. But if we got the arms doing too much and then the body moving, it tends to move the club in a better way. I'd rather see that. I don't see that as often, but I'd rather see, if anything, arms doing a little bit too much too early, then the body collecting it, and then you can almost see the club's going to work onto a slightly more inside plane. But bottom line is, if we blend it together, we always want the club parallel at what I would call position one. Parallel to where I'm going, parallel to the ground. As a rule of thumb, toes slightly up to the sky. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's somewhere in there, depending on what you're doing. But the reality is, if I don't use my arms early, that's going to get behind me. If I were to do it too much with my hands and arms, it would be out. If I were to blend that together, you can start to see how everything moves nicely together, and hopefully on the way down, into a nice position there. Hope that makes sense. So we always want our hands up and we want our body turning, and never the twain should meet unless it's together, and then it should make it perfect. Have a great afternoon.